Hi, guys. This is CRB, Chad Barnes Strength and Speed, and I am a movement specialist, and I'm here at Nucleus Hub. I would like to thank again Nucleus Hub for this amazing experience, for all the people that came. And the event was called the Summer Sizzle Sweat Experience. It's a mouthful, but it's a great experience. It was a lot of fun. There are a lot of cool vendors. So today I ran a class that's called Movement Mastery to help move without pain. And here I have with me three other people that were here, and we'll actually introduce everybody, and we're going to share our experience with the event. So I'll take it over right in front of me to the beautiful what is this, Siobhan?
Adesha.
Adesha. I love that name, Adesha. So talk about yourself, Adesha.
Okay, so my name is Adesha Franklin. I took the movement class today. Getting older and you're trying to maintain being active, recovery and injury prevention is like major. I have a lifelong background in basketball, lifelong athlete, but I've played pretty much every sport, but basketball was the sport that I played in college and after. I played collegiate Division I basketball at St. Joseph's University in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I am originally from Miami, Florida, down south in Kendall. But I have family out in Philly, so it was nice to be close to some family. And so it was a great experience. I left with 2 bachelor's degrees, and then I went on to be a graduate assistant at the University of Connecticut with the women's basketball team. And there I got a master's degree in sport management. And that was a very different experience coming from playing for 4 years to being on the other side, taking stats, sitting on the sideline at the games, just really seeing how, athletes look from an outside perspective, their training, their practices. I had to plan things. I was in charge of the practice players, things like that. So it was a really eye-opening experience. You got to travel. You got to do just a lot of things. It was just a fabulous lifestyle, a lot of work, but it was a great experience. And then I came back home. I finished my degree in 2020. Came back home and then smack dab, like April 2020. Thought I was visiting, family while I still had my apartment in Connecticut, and I never went back. And so it's good to be back home. Been back for 4 years, and just continuing my fitness journey. I currently run 5Ks, 10Ks, half marathons, and I'm a certified personal trainer. And I try to just stay active and healthy by running, playing basketball, trying new things like golf. Just to kind of expand my horizons. So that was very long-winded, but that's
very cool.
mostly about
Very cool, yeah. Very interesting. All right, let's go on to the next, over here to your right.
Well, my name is Giancarlo. I am also born and raised in Miami. Probably not the same background, but I grew up also very athletic. Grew up playing soccer for Weston FC my whole life, and I went away also to Pennsylvania to just go pursue my academics. I went to Penn State for a couple of years, and throughout that time, I think lifestyles change, especially throughout college. You kind of start to actually become an adult. Your body changes, kind of go through that second stage of puberty, start learning a little bit of how your body works and exercising as well. And certain movements are not the same after that. You go and you play soccer or basketball or any other sport that you played your whole life, and you realize, okay, maybe if I'm moving a little too fast, I might get injured. So that's basically probably the main reason why I'm here, why I kind of took a lot of interest to coming out and like putting myself out there to come out here today and just like learn more about, the functions of the body and how they move and what they should be doing to properly, prepare for the future. We're all getting older.
Yeah, awesome. And next what we have over here is Vinny. Top. Popped on the plane.
Yeah, man. I met Anthony, co-founder of Nucleus at the NIL Summit in Atlanta, Georgia, which had the biggest athletes, content creators, influencers, and brands in the NIL space. It was an amazing experience going there on my own dime, with the foreseeable future representing athletes myself, and that being the reason I decided to go to college in general. I just decided to enroll this January. Been there for we're in July, so 7 months, and I'm already the vice president. So just trying to find a way to continue sharing stories, specifically athlete stories, to connect the masses, to connect to their communities, to really inspire and change the world. I think there's a lot of wrong conversations being had in the NIL space, and I think there's a way to start having the right conversations to help these athletes build a brand outside of the sport. So that's why I decided to enroll into school myself. That's, why I ended up investing in myself to go to the NIL Summit, and it's why I'm here right now and, sitting with all of you guys, because we all have stories. And shit, we only we know our stories, but this creator economy is a great chance for all of us to share our stories and find a way to monetize on it. So that's, sort of the lane that I'm in. I'm also playing sports at the JUCO level as well. So I have a very interesting perspective on it, being an athlete before the NIL space, currently during the NIL space, and educating myself on the business before going to school. So, I like to think that I'm well-rounded, and I also have what my competition doesn't have, and that's the understanding, the trust, and the respect of the athlete, and the athlete knowing that any decision I make is for their best interest and not in my.
Right. That's very true. That is so needed in the space too right now. As a lot of people, when it comes to athletes, the athletes are the only ones going through the experience. And if you're another athlete and you've gone through that experience yourself, or you've seen it, that's the same thing with me. I played football at University of Miami, and going to see athletes and training athletes and stuff, I know where they are mentally with a lot of the space, whether they're dealing with injuries, whatnot, and having that background to understand that is really important. It's very needed, because this is how we really help one another and see it eye to eye. So experience is everything. But yeah, so we'll go right into it. I had the movement mastery class, and each of you guys have done it and took care of or done the actual class and stuff. I just want to know what you guys thought about it. What was your experience? What did you feel? Little things like that. So we can just kind of just talk, and we'll spit it around the table. So, yeah, you can go first. Yeah,
You worked on some ankle mobility.
Yeah.
I'm really trying to continue strengthening my ankle to make sure that my vertical and my horizontal speed is up to par. I'm transitioning from going from football to baseball, so it's different directions I'll be moving, and really, like I said, finding a way to stabilize is also such a key thing. I wanted to come here and just take something away, as well as meeting great people. I learned through your class just different things I can take home to work on that, and also how that not only it starts at the foot, it really starts all the way up at the hip. So I'm interested in continue learning about my body and taking everything I learned during the class and continue just getting 1% better every day.
Yeah. And actually, so to give you an idea what Vinny was going through, his ankle on the left side was really twisted up, and after he got that ankle injury, usually what ends up happening is the ankle gets misaligned, and when that ankle got misaligned, it's all about trying to get that realignment back so he can start strengthening it into the right in the right field. Because the thing is usually when people injure themselves, they kind of focus just on that area, and really alignment doesn't start from one space. It starts from the entire body. So understanding how the body is lined up from the hips to the ribs to the knees all the way to the ankle, if it gets properly realigned, that's when you're going to feel it pop it back in place. You'll feel things want to get stronger because of that, and it will actually help you create stability. So with him, that was one of my biggest takeaways I wanted him to have, and that's where we really focused on most of that balance issue. And when we looked into it as we continued, he got a little bit better with everything, which was awesome. So I'm glad he's getting that, and he took that away. And within the class, was there anything, if you had one thing that you learned from the class that you can take away, what would it be?
Just the movement itself.
Okay.
I learned a lot of different movement and to help me structure and help me stabilize. And there's so much different moving pieces in an ankle specifically. So learning what part of my ankle hurts and what part, how can I make it better, and different things like that to continue trying to stabilize it. So
Gotcha.
learning the different movements, the different banded tricks that seeing the banded tricks that I've used in the past translate to some of the work that we did. So Pretty cool.
Gotcha. Perfect. All right. I'll send it over to Giancarlo because you just actually just experienced it yourself just now.
Yeah. We actually got to shoot some content before I actually did it, and then after, which was a wonderful experience because I got to actually ask some questions about the whole process. I think the biggest takeaway for me, I mean, I'm not really putting myself out there in too many athletic situations nowadays. I'm not out there playing basketball every day or playing a 5v5 soccer match every once in a while. But I am constantly on my feet at work. I work in an office and in a warehouse. So there are constant issues with my back or random things. You never know. You pick up a box wrong, you go and you got to be doing this. You're moving a desk, you're moving whatever. And sometimes your posture, or at least from what I've learned now through the movements class, the posture and your breathing can actually help to not only heal you, but also fix whatever ailments you already do have, and could also decompress your back. It could really help using the frontal part of your muscles as well as the back to, through an entire routine of breath work, not only just realign your posture, and sure, you'll look nicer and you look like you got a nice chest pumping out, but you will actually heal yourself and you won't even be feeling pain, which you're most likely people at this age are starting to feel.
Yeah. Yeah, most definitely. Most definitely. And also because you going off the lifestyle thing, and I always think that's like probably the most important thing, because I don't even just look at it as like just for athletes or anything, but more so as like how it works with just humans in general and base function. When it comes down to that, where do you see this type of training, and how do you see it like almost like evolving?
Okay, so where do I see it? I see it as a functional exercise or a functional like regimen, right? For, or at least applying it to my own lifestyle, for the sedentary professional, for the person that is sitting at their desk for 8 hours a day answering emails and Microsoft Teams and stuff like that. This is a wonderful mobility exercise that can actually get them to move in ways that they probably haven't moved since they were a teenager.
Right.
That's really how I see it.
Okay. Yeah, most definitely. What about involvement?
In terms of the body, like physically?
Well, yeah, the physically with the body, but like within what space would you kind of say you would see this?
I would say this is borderline therapy.
Right.
Borderline therapy.
Okay.
At the end of each breath exercise, you feel like you just did like 50 crunches.
Right.
Not just do you feel it in your muscles, but you also feel it in the way you feel immediately after your muscles feel relaxed. They don't feel tense. They feel almost like just, released.
Right.
There's no tense. There's no tension.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Perfect.
Yeah, that's what I really like.
Yeah, perfect. Then we'll go on to.
So I actually took your class because after 8 long years, I had like a recent ankle sprain. And then before the ankle sprain, I was recovering from a back strain and a back sprain. And so I'm not very injury prone at all, but, trying to be more intentional about, my body mechanics and my recovery, and just doing things so that I can move my body in the best way. And like, I've picked up the habit of running, and not being able to run for, when I hurt my back for 2 weeks, or when I hurt my ankle for a week, as much as you hate it while you're running, you're dying like, man, it's hot, or man, like, I want to be done, you miss being out there. And so for me, when I saw your class, I'm like, this is exactly, what I was looking for when I looked through the list of classes. And so for me, it was just like a mixture of like yoga, physical therapy, mindfulness, meditation almost. It's not exactly like one thing, but it's like a mixture of things. And I think that's what makes it really special. I've done certain exercises that you've had, but I've never had like everything explained the way that you do. You don't realize how connected your body is, especially coming from the right to the left or left to the right. And so for me, the insight was very valuable, and just, being more mindful and, getting your body to do the things that you want to do, especially, I'm not super old, I'm 28 years old, but, I'm still very young, but as I get older, I want to be able to healthily, perform and do everything as if I was a spring chicken still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As an athlete, like you're used to moving at high speeds all the time, feeling really good. And you're like, man, like I want to be like this forever. And there's no way I can go down. And then you start dealing with a little ankle injury, you start dealing with a little shoulder injury, and then you go and you try to just push through the pain and you're like, this is terrible. I don't think I can do this, man. This is not the way. So that's actually, it's funny that you brought that up because that's actually why I became the therapist that I am right now as a movement specialist. And it's because I've been searching for something better. I'm tired of the therapy, the temporary fixes. The temporary fixes, the Band-Aids. There has to be a way to attack the root cause. And if we look at what I would say all the time is if you start focusing not on the symptom, but actually at the system, which is our whole body and how it works, especially with the nervous system, there is a huge role that nervous system plays on controlling the entire body. So if we can manipulate that to change our posture, to change how our body looks, to change how our body moves, it can really heal yourself. And I've gone through so many different things where I'm like, all I'm doing here is I'm changing tension. That's what we're doing. And when we talk about sprains overstretching the muscle. And when we overstretch the muscle, now we have to learn how to contract it again. It's like this constant like back and forth, and you go through this vicious cycle. That is why people get constantly injured. So like you were saying with this practice, it's almost like you're getting some therapy, but you're getting some yoga, but you're getting some mindfulness to it. And if you even take it to a step further into plyometrics or to running, or it's just like it's all in one. So when you're able to do that, you can really create the space that your body needs, and you can get stronger, but create better range of motion through all of it at once. So it's like, hey, what if I told you don't have to spend 30, 40 minutes warming up, but I can get you doing everything that you want to do instead while you're strengthening and getting the stretch you need, getting the proper activation. And that's basically what this practice, what I was looking for. I was like, man, this is like everything I've been looking for because I've been able to fix myself and help fix so many people around me. And when it comes to helping with their posture and regaining their posture, and more importantly, what does that do for us? It regains our confidence. That's one of the biggest things for me is like, I work with clients, they're dealing with a foot injury, and they're just trying to work around it. And I'm like, that you're not doing anything for yourself because every time you try to work around it, your body's going to find a way to compensate, and it's not going to help for what is happening. And when I see an issue, I want to attack that right now. I want to get that done. I want to show you how we can fix this in the matter of days instead of weeks or months. And if we can do that, how well will your body progress because of that? So I'm really big on wanting to make sure that we're focusing on those little things. And when it comes back to class, a good question I would like to ask when we come back to class is, when you see the movements, how do you see that even in the sport field?
I mean, it's a direct translation. Absolutely. When you gave your breakdown of like running and throwing are very similar movements, they're just kind of like opposites of each other in terms of like how your body is moving. That was just like a really new perspective for me. I'd never thought of it like that. Between playing basketball and running, it's like I can see, the parallels now. And so, yeah, I mean, I think what you're doing is great. I think it definitely would be beneficial. Like, I'm sure you worked with teams, college teams, but definitely in a college team space, especially women's sports. A thing about women, we're more predispositioned to get certain injuries.
Yep.
ACLs, ankles, things like that, because of how our body is made up, because of our centers of gravity. And so, even the shoes we wear, we have to be very particular about because we are more prone to certain things.
Right.
And so the women's sports game is like blowing up, which I love, as a former student athlete. You gotta protect it because more girls, more women are playing sports. And are playing sports at a high level.
Right.
And I think one thing that can help push the agenda along of, women can play too, we're athletes too, is just to kind of keep us healthy.
Exactly. Yeah, and to go on along and tag on to what you were saying, the main reason for women having those dispositions to have those injuries like that is because of the hip alignment being at that V shape. And that is really, when it comes to like forces traveling through the body, like people don't really know, like when you're running, reason why people notice so many injuries and so many things when they run and they stop running is because you're putting 4 times your body weight of force throughout your body. And if it's not traveling properly through the body, there's going to be some mishaps happening around those joints, and there's going to be problems, and your body is going to have to compensate, which is going to cause other problems and just turns into this whole mess. So with women, one of the most important things that I see with all the women that I work with is their knee positions are so inwards, and they got this knee valgus, which is the knees basically looking at each other, and getting that to understand how to tie in those knees pushing outwards with getting their core engaged and allowing their ribs to rise up with that, so their body learns how to actually sit on top of itself instead of feeling like they're like squeezing into one another. And that's basically when I look at those type of things and we started working on those little things, you see I have women that are like, that worked with me for a long time, and I've seen their bodies change dramatically in the sense of strength, just strength and overall, like talking about curling and pressing something over their head, doing like 10, 15 pounds to now doing like 30 something pounds, like at least double, and moving in better than they ever have. And I'm just like, wow, this is, I mean, if we're constantly just stacking on top and getting stronger and stronger and stronger, and there's no plateau to it, then what makes me not want to keep doing this? Like, that's what made me like fall in love with what I'm doing here, and how I want to help athletes, not just athletes, but people in general that really need this. And as you know, we're in the field of, pain is what holds us back. We can get, okay, we're hurt, let's take a pill for it.
Yeah.
What is that doing? It's a temporary fix. It makes me not have to think about it, so I'll be okay. But you're not. You're not okay. So don't lie to yourself. But that's what happens. And it's the same thing when it goes to like having the injuries too as well. And when people have those injuries, they don't want to walk around it. So that's where I look at this as like, man, we got to focus on being on top of this. So again, thank you so much for you guys coming out. This has been amazing. So if you guys have any other questions, anything else you guys want to add to this, please share. And not, I think the last thing I would bring up is we're in this field. Where do you think this type of practice could evolve in institutions, into like, that's kind of where I've always kind of looked at this. It's like, I see it evolving into like being a certain main practice that can be so fundamentally put into like the workspace for people that just need it. Whether even it's like, just like you were saying, even for athletes, like I look at the sports field. Let's talk about the sports field real quick. The sports field, they have a strength coach, they have PT, they even have psychologists. I mean, they have everything almost. Do you think? But is there any longevity? Is there anybody in longevity in any of that? That's where I kind of look at, maybe this is where it can kind of fit in, is in that longevity space. Whether it's like with the players with the NIL deals, and those players with the NIL deals, I mean, they're in high school.
Once you get hurt, like that's why this NIL space, it's great, because you get hurt. And I want to piggyback on something you said about when you get a pill and then you get injured, what happens? We all know, we're all like, we know it's time to get dark.
Yeah.
So like now, if you're able to find a way in the NIL space to create something where you understand that your identity is not built up in your sport, and that's what you do, that's not who you are, then the conversation changed. But also, when you start talking about these athletes getting injured and then the opioid prescriptions and things like that, we all know how that goes. It's a cycle. I firsthand seen how that impacted my community: substance abuse, drugs, violence, homelessness, all of it.
Yeah.
So like, to answer your question, somewhere we can start is education.
Yes.
Educated athletes, and you know, we see what the NCAA just, you know, took off their banned substance list where, okay, like now the conversation and the narrative is starting to change. Like, what are the pros and cons of these things that are actually happening? Yes, you're not going to feel this pain for a couple hours. Let's talk about 2 years later, though.
Yeah.
You're not, you're still going to have that pain, or you're going to have a need for something else.
Yeah.
And like, that's just a dark hole that we don't want to see these athletes. We don't want to see anybody going. So I think starting with education and exactly what you do, and being able to see the passion showing and the understanding of the body and the movements, and just understanding how to regulate, okay, like this is what you need to do on a timely fashion. This isn't how it needs to be done, and the attention to detail. Instead of, we have 100 people, let's try it. This works. Oh, nothing works. Okay, 4 years go by, and now your replacement's in.
Yeah.
Which is absolutely disgusting.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why I'm really frustrated with the NIL space in the Wild Wild West, because education.
Yeah.
You educate the athletes, you educate the universities, you educate these collectives.
Yeah.
And let's see how lives are changed. Let's see how these athletes eventually change their lives to start changing other lives, because it's a cycle, and we all know it takes a village.
Yeah.
So like, if it's just one person that, okay, you got this injury, guess what? That trickles down. You know, like when I get injured, where am I? I'm sitting at the house. My siblings running around. I got twin sisters that are in high school. I got a brother a year older. So like, a year older than them, so I got three younger siblings, and I go from this kid who's all over the news. I'm making plays, I'm doing this, I'm happy, I'm out, I'm building my brand, I'm trying to figure out what I do, and then just stops.
Yep.
And then what's the direction that we go to? It's, hey, go to the hospital, hey, go here, and what do they send you? They send you into this recurring cycle that something like you were able to, okay, your injury doesn't have to last 3 months. Let's be consistent for 2 weeks. And then, you know, that's just the power of education, growth, and finding someone who's passionate about what they do, just like I am with the NIL space, but running into somebody like you where, okay, these athletes, these people, whatever it is, like, let's help you. Let's figure it out, but let's find the root of the problem instead of just trying to put some sprinkles on top and make it seem like everything's nice and pretty when we all know that's not the case.
That's right. That's really where it comes down to. It's these athletes look at their bodies as their brands, and if you start looking at that as that's your brand right there.
Yeah.
How are you going to take care of your brand? I mean, yeah, you can go party, yeah, you can do stuff like that, but how are you training? How are you taking care of that side of yourself? How are you really preparing yourself for your sport, but not just for your sport, preparing your body for the load that you're about to go through? And that's where I kind of look at this is like, I want to create that durable body so you're able to take that load. So if we're able to tag that on and make, like we talk about education, and educate the athletes to understand, hey, listen, this is the root cause, and this is how we're going to fix it, and this is how I want you to start working, because you start working like this is the longevity space that we're trying to do. And to answer your question, when it goes to like, the coaches, the facilities, or the universities and whatnot, they don't care too much about it because there's more athletes coming in. There's more athletes coming. It's the same thing in the pro space. There's more athletes coming in. Don't worry, you're just another wounded horse. We got another one coming. That's kind of the hard truth that happens. And that's why even like I saw there was something on the NFL where it was like, they spend $5 million on hamstring injuries just to figure it out because people were pulling their hamstrings left and right before the season started. Like, that's wild. Why is this not tied down? Why do we not understand this? You know, so I feel this is like almost like the answer for learning more about that and watching it grow. And I just see that this type of practice can really grow into that space. And I think athletes are really important to focus on for that reason, because that's the way they make money. They make money off their body. It's like, you know, some of these guys that make millions and millions of dollars that aren't athletes, they're sitting down at their table and they have a beer belly and everything, and it's okay. They can still make money at least. But like some of these people that are athletes and they're passionate in what they do, and that happens, like you see athletes go down this mental rabbit hole that's just like scary. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's scary to watch. So that's really what I want to bring to the table. That's what I want to help with this community. That's what I want to help with this world. And I just want to share this knowledge as much as I can with other people. And yeah, and to go on with that, then the end of the segment is basically to find me with this is over at CRB Training, CRB Strength and Speed, and also on YouTube, CRB Strength and Speed as well. And there's going to be many more content like this coming out, and I'll be explaining more stuff just like how I did with my movement class. I'll even have that out so everybody else can see what I'm up to and how I'm able to help you guys as well. So feel free to reach out. And again, thank you guys so much for coming. This has been amazing.
Thank
You
you,
guys
Chad.
have been really good. Yeah. Oh, go for it. Go for it, please.
I just want them to know that your identity is not built in your sport. It is what you do.
That's excellent. I love that. I love that.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Y'all can find me on Instagram, Vinny Schmidt.1M, Twitter, Schmidt Vinny, and look me up on YouTube.
Perfect. Thank you. Hey,
Alright.
you guys want to, plug in nothing? Anywhere?
Sure. You can find me Instagram, Twitter, or X, I say. TikTok at a dash of sugar, A_DASHI_ASUGAR. You can find me at a dash of sugar, and I also have my fitness page tagged on there, so feel free to follow as well.
I'm following.
Sweet.
It's happening.
All right. Thanks,
Appreciate
everyone.
it. Thank you.